Welcome to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist.
Hello, champion. I am super excited to have you join us on Becoming the Peak Performer with your world-class performance strategist, Dr. Abiola Salami. The Peak Performer is a platform where African industry leaders, culture shapers, and game changers gain insights to achieve peak performance in their space. On this show, we provide leaders with insights to grow their profits, to improve operational efficiency, and retain their customers, employees, and investors, while also providing every professional with insights to grow their careers. Also, we spotlight and celebrate credible leaders with admirable skills through our awards and recognition, and these leaders we've celebrated over time will be hosting them on this show to hear their story. We have curated Becoming the Peak Performer as a platform where we discuss the big issues career professionals and business leaders in Africa are facing, with the overall goal of providing practical solutions to guide them onto recording consistent growth. On this episode, our guest is a very special person. She is a double honoree on the Peak Performer platform, and she's so special that I call her mommy and she calls me son. Not too long ago, she clocked 75 years old. I know you are itching to know who my guest for today is, but when we come back from the break, I will unveil the guests.
The Kickoff Summit 2025. Start the year strong. Join us at the 2025 New Year Kickoff Summit, where the brightest minds and key market leaders come together to chart a course for success in the upcoming year. This dynamic gathering is designed to set the tone for peak performance across industries. Participants will gain valuable knowledge from experts across multiple sectors, including finance, technology, healthcare, entrepreneurship, and more. Key highlights: expert panels featuring industry leaders and trendsetters, comprehensive 2025 insights across diverse professions and industries. Register now at www.kickoffsummit.com.
Glad to know you are still here with us. Our special guest today is a Nigerian public affairs and communication consultant, media executive, and newspaper proprietor. She is the chairman, publisher, and chief executive officer of Guardian Newspapers. Before becoming the publisher of Guardian Newspapers, she was the CEO of Guardian Press Limited for 11 years. Lady Maiden Alex-Ibru runs the Trinity Foundation, which supports civil society organizations that promote democratic and open society values in Nigeria. She was honored in 2014 as a member of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and she is a double honoree on the Peak Performer platform as Peak Performing Woman of the Year Lifetime Achievement Award, as well as the Peak Performer Recognition 100. Please welcome with me my mother, Lady Maiden Alex-Ibru.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salami. It's really nice sitting face to face with you.
Thank you.
To have this chat.
Thank you, Mommy. You're looking so radiant.
You're very kind.
As always.
God's grace.
Now we'll be having a cross-generational conversation today. This is a really special edition.
Okay.
And for someone who has been around, who has seen it all, first question I would like to find out from you, from your perspective, Ma, who is a peak performer?
Well, my definition of a peak performer is someone who is able to bring all the ideas of what he or she needs to be able to excel in whatever he or she wants to do. So I've because with my age, I tend to forget things in between, so you have to pardon me. So I have some of the answers here.
Okay.
A peak performer is someone who consistently delivers exceptional results, surpassing expectations, and continuously improves their performance. They demonstrate a growth mindset, resilience, and a passion for excellence. Based on my abilities and experiences, I identify my top 3 skills for delivering peak performance as 1, adaptability.
Yes, adaptability.
I can process and respond to vast amounts of information, adjusting to the new topics, formats, and user needs. B, empathy. I understand and acknowledge users' emotions, concerns, and perspectives, providing personalized support. Continuous learning. I stay updated on various subjects, refining my knowledge and fine-tuning my responses to deliver accurate and helpful information.
Fantastic.
Practical story.
Okay, ma.
Yes, when I took over as CEO and then later on chairman and publisher, during my training, I engaged with a user struggling with emotional distress. I employed empathy to acknowledge their feelings, adaptability to address their concerns, and continuous learning to provide resources and support. The user expressed gratitude for my understanding and helpfulness.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I've mentioned 3 things.
Yes.
You know, those 3 core skills.
Yes.
You mentioned adaptability.
Yes.
You mentioned empathy. And you mentioned continuous learning.
Yes.
I would just like to find out, in your experience, from some practical stories, you know, on how some of these things has worked for you. Which one would you like to expand on? Empathy or adaptability or continuous learning?
I would think all 3 of them. All 3 of them are very useful in each. What's the word for it? Yes, qualities.
Yes.
You know, yes. All 3 of them are very, very important. If you put them together, then you're actually able to communicate better. You know, like when I became the CEO, the first thing I actually inherited a company that had over 1,000 staff, and I'm like, where's this coming from for newspaper business? You know, so what I did, but I needed, you know, for the staff there to be very fair. Because we have departments, so you have a head of department from different, you know, and I spoke to them to say, you know what, make sure you have the fear of God in dealing with this assignment. Because some of them would want to retain some staff because they come from the same state or the same tribe or what have you. So I was able to reduce them to, I think, about 500 or thereabouts, you know. But then, because I know this was coming unexpectedly, I had prepared a package for each staff, thanking them. I don't mean in terms of all these bags we get at parties and what have you. You know, it was actually in cash and a letter, actually thanking them for all the services they have rendered. And my God, everybody was so happy. You know, there was no bad mind or anything trying to sort of run anybody down. And so that's where we are today. And I think with the age of digital, you know, digitalization and all that, now we are less than that. Where I think about maybe 375, you know, because with the internet now, and for there are certain days of the week, they now work from home. Yes, like my cook's son is actually in the Guardian. And so I always know when Richard gets back home and stuff like that, you know. So that's really what the structure is all about for now.
In your experience, you know, what are those things that you think are restricting peak performance, you know, on the continent generally, restricting people from delivering peak performance, from delivering their best, and what can they do about it?
I really can't talk about other climes, you know, other countries, but at least in Nigeria, you continue to sort of acquire more skills, you know, you do some reading, you do some research and all that, you learn from other people's mistakes, you know, you can bring good ideas. For example, we have an editorial board that meets every Wednesday. And in choosing that team, I knew it didn't have to be all Guardian staff. So I could easily have said, oh, because it's my company, I'm chair, I'm publisher, you know, let me head and be the chairman of this editorial board that takes place every Wednesday. Instead, I got Professor Omoli, you know, Vice Chancellor of University of Ife, and there's also Professor Akiyemi, Bolaji Akiyemi, who was the man in charge of the Institute of International Affairs. I brought in also Dr. Cole. He's godfather to one of my kids. And but he actually went to Cambridge. And so these are all very bright people we've brought to the table. And in recent times, I've employed 2 very smart guys, because the editor we had was there for a long time. You know, you need change, you know, and all that. is Femi Adekoya and his deputy on spot. They write beautifully. They've turned the paper around. You know, we get it right now. And we also ensure that adverts coming into the papers are sort of not all together, you know, otherwise you say, oh, this is just an advert newspaper and you'll dump it. But that's our main source of income.
Yes.
Adverting and circulation.
You know, speaking of newspaper.
Yes.
One of the things I am personally grateful for is about a year ago, you approved for us to have a column in the Guardian,
which you're doing right now.
Yes.
Good. Yes.
So that every Tuesday we'll publish Becoming the Peak Performer.
Yeah.
That has now become a TV show, by the way.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, in the Guardian, and we're adding value via TV now. Yes. And I personally owe a lot of gratitude to you.
Oh, not at all. My pleasure.
Because where we are today, in the show, visually, you gave us the first platform for Becoming the Peak Performer on print.
Yes.
No, and thank you, a big thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yes.
We're still on Becoming the Peak Performer, and we have the special guest, Lady Maiden Alex-Ibru, with us. Don't go, we'll be right back.
The Kickoff Summit 2025. Start the year strong. Join us at the 2025 New Year Kickoff Summit, where the brightest minds and key market leaders come together to chart a course for success in the upcoming year. This dynamic gathering is designed to set the tone for peak performance across industries. Participants will gain valuable knowledge from experts across multiple sectors, including finance, technology, healthcare, entrepreneurship, and more. Key highlights: expert panels featuring industry leaders and trendsetters, comprehensive 2025 insights across diverse professions and industries. Register now at www.kickoffsummit.com.
You are listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace.
It is still Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami. While we were on break, Mommy, you were making a comment about the column we have in the Guardian.
Yes.
You know, let me just allow you to.
Yes. After my encounter with you, I think 2-3 times. In fact, which hall were we using in those days? Was it Muzon?
Yes.
Really, and it looked like it was somewhere else, you know. Yes. I then said, we certainly need another columnist away from all the other people we've had, whose topic would be different, but at the end of the day, is peak performance in any area or any field you decide to work in, you know. And a lot of reactions have come from saying, Mommy, who is this people? I said, well, you can see he's a doctor, PhD. So if you're very interested in what he does and you enjoy what he's doing, it was all thumbs up for you. No question about it. No question. And that's why we gave you that second page. Because in any newspaper, once you pick, let's say this is a newspaper, this is the front, you read the headlines, what are the logo, the Guardian, you do this. Your eye does not come here. It comes there naturally.
Yes.
That's the way nature designed it, because you do this. But then this peak performance has really attracted a lot of people. And they ask me, who is this guy who writes beautifully? I said, he's one of the best writers in the country, you know, and he's my son. So that's why you are partial, because it's your son. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. You remember the Reekus and all of that? They were there for over 30, 40 years. And I knew we needed to bring in, you know, young. So all the columnists in the back now, all young people. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mommy.
Thank you.
Now, Mommy, you are a double honoree on the TPP platform.
Oh, really?
You are a Lifetime Achievement Award, the Peak Performing Woman of the Year, you know, as well as TPP Recognition 100. I know that before we came on board to honor you with our awards, you have received many awards. I know that even after we honored you, you've received many awards. So what we would like to find out is what makes the TPP award, what makes it special to you?
Well, it's special to me because you apply a lot of stuff. You know, what do you call that? Something intelligence.
Emotional
intelligence, you know. You write beautifully, and the moment they read it, it's like, who is this guy? I said, don't worry about it. You know, he knows what he's doing, because you are also giving them ideas as to how to set up companies, how to run them, what have you know, how to relate to people. Because if you're arguing or fighting all the time or disagreeing all the time, you cannot make a success of anything. So I must thank you,
for
that particular column. We all enjoy reading it. So I flip back is the first thing I say in the morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So, Mommy, we've talked about newspaper, we've talked about work, we've talked about the marketplace.
Yes.
It will be interesting to know, how do you have fun? How do you relax? Do you relax at all? Is it all work? How do you have fun?
Very good. I'm so lucky. There's hardly a week I don't have an event. If it's not corporate, it will be social, you know. Sunday is my rest day. Sundays, at times, I attend the Museum because I'm a trustee of Museum. So if there's a meeting going on, you know, I always create time, because I'm home alone on Sunday, because even the domestic staff, I don't see them again until Monday, because they need some space themselves, you know. And I don't go out there watching movies. I can't even think of any cinema anymore. There are cinemas in town.
Yeah, there are cinemas for me.
Not the casino went there for Yabas I do. No, say around this axis. Do we?
Yeah, we have some cinemas.
Really? Yes. I didn't know that. Where are they located?
VI, Lekki.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yes, so I read my papers, I chat with my friends. 3-4 of them are in my axis, you know, Parkview, what have you. So we get together, at times just 4 of us, they come to mine, we just chat, you know, not gossip or anything like that, just to make ourselves happy, because God has fulfilled his 3 scores of 10, which is 70. Exactly.
You know, as part of our plans to celebrate you, and a big thank you to you, man,
thank you,
for being an inspiration,
thank you,
for your motherly care.
Yes.
To both your biological children and those of us that were not your biological children. Thank you for living a life worthy of admiration.
Thank you.
And my prayer is that the Lord will continue to keep you in sound health.
Amen.
And in sound mind.
Yes,
all the way.
Yes,
and many thanks to you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
I'll leave you guys with one message. Do all the good you can, at any time you can, at any place you can, until life's end. That was by John Wesley. I had gone to a wedding in London some years ago, and as I was returning to my car, I now saw John Wesley's tombstone. And this was the message he left behind. And also, never turn a blind eye if you see something that is not right on the road, and I'll give you 2 examples and I will close my story. Then we lived in Queen's Drive when we were building this, our house now, which is now 45 years old, you know. And it was a Saturday. My nanny had left. I had my second baby, yes, you know, she was still on the bouncer. So we're just in the balcony taking fresh air, when suddenly I just heard bagam, and there was this silence. So my baby was on the bouncer, you know the bouncer now, the sitter. I carried her, we went downstairs. I now called the cook, because his wife also just put to bed. I didn't want anybody to now tamper with when you are not there. Now brought her own baby to the living room, my bouncer with my second daughter there, you know, in the bouncer. I now went through the gate. You won't believe it, what I saw. A a rough driver just saw a man standing by the road waiting. He just drove into him and disappeared. Guess what? This place was broken. Open, I could see his brain.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't say because if he say whether I make custom or you know that kind of thing. In fact, my husband had just bought me a car, Renegade. Remember the Renegade? Exactly. And it was probably my first or second time I was going to drive it. It didn't matter to me. They then helped me to carry this man into not the back seat. I insisted the back seat, the front seat. And you know why? I wanted to keep him alive. So I now started asking, you know, he was not able to. As I am driving on the Queen's Drive coming to bust out where the French embassy is,
Yes.
I just think, then at a stage I had Ta, then I'm like, is it Taju? Is it Taiwo? You know, I'm driving, I wanted to keep him alive, you know. Then I went to the military hospital because it's the closest one on Awolowo Road. You will not believe they declined to receive him. Again, I drove down our Savior's Church, my school,
Yes.
then the General Hospital. Luckily, my childhood friend, who is still my best friend, Mrs. Adio Moses, her husband was a doctor in the General Hospital.
great.
And that's how we got there, this, all was on up till tomorrow. The guy never knew how he survived it. He survived it, and you know, they stitched him and everything. So any opportunity you have, you see this sort of things on, you know, our mentality, they go think, say, don't. God has a way of blessing everybody because all the good things you do, it takes note of it. If you're a bad person, it takes note of it. So when it's time we're all gone, it's either heaven or purgatory, which is hell. May we not go to hell, continue to serve our nation, our people, but that word kindness, it's good. Learn to be kind. It does not cost you anything. Okay?
So there you have it, becoming the peak performer. When we come back, we'll be having Dr. Abiola Salami's take for the week. Don't go, stay with us.
Becoming the peak performer. Take for the week.
Selecting the best vendors to deliver peak performance at your leadership retreat. Having facilitated leadership retreats in the past 12 years, in this episode, we are providing guidance to business leaders in selecting the best vendors that will deliver an exciting experience that positions their organizations to deliver peak performance. While we have delivered amazing experiences that stimulate peak performance at the leadership retreat of our clients in the past 12 years, we bring you 6 very important checks in selecting the best vendors that will provide your organization with both an atmosphere and experience that enables peak performance at your leadership retreat. In the last episode, we looked at 3 of this criteria. 1 was checking for competence. 2, checking for compatibility. 3, checking for creativity. On this episode, we'll be sharing the final 3 out of the 6 of them with you. And number 4 is you must check for cost effectiveness. After looking up a vendor and comparing notes, the next thing to consider is the cost-benefit analysis. You ask the question, is it economically sensible to engage this vendor? This means that you want to ensure that the value being offered by a vendor should be commensurate with your investment in that vendor. Some vendors are overpriced, but they get away with it because in their heydays, they did render some stellar services and got the patronage of some top clients. However, you should know the numbers and advise accordingly. Is it possible to get a similar quality of service elsewhere for a lower amount, or do the market rates suggest that the grade of vendors should review downwards to match available resources? It is important to note that if you want to get the best experience from a vendor, you should be willing to make the necessary investment. One of the erroneous leadership practices is when you are proposing a conservative budget for an outstanding experience. While vendors should give you the best experience your budget can deliver, it is important to set your expectations right. Don't be the kind of client that want vendors to deliver an extraordinary experience with an ordinary budget. Balance is key. Sometimes, an organization can be willing to go beyond their budget to acquire the services of a vendor. For example, there are training facilitators and there are training facilitators. Some have more charisma than impact. Some have more impact than charisma. While, of course, in Champ, we have both impact and charisma. So if you want to get the best deal from vendors, it is to get them to specifically itemize what they bring to the event in terms of value. Then you can surf the market for the going rate for such services, then decide if the return on that investment is worth it. For added measure, the willingness of the vendor to give significant discounts on large orders or scope of event should be considered. Number 5, you want to check for the vendor's comprehensiveness. You must look out for vendors that fully understand that corporate retreats are like productions and as such mustn't be treated in isolation. You should work with vendors that have both the ability and willingness to offer both pre-retreat and post-retreat engagement. It is quite awkward for vendors to show up on the day of something as important as a corporate retreat and start trying to find their way around. It's simply unprofessional. Thus, the willingness of a vendor or its representatives to be available to inspect a facility, audit the utilities, and envision a design or program flow is priceless. A schematic of the place helps vendors know how much work needs to be done, which subsequently informs the number of hands and machinery needed. The vendor should be willing to have dry runs with the project managers of the retreat so that the things that need to be fixed will be sorted ahead of the big day. It's an indictment not just on such vendor, but also on the in-house persons responsible for corresponding with the vendor. Samples of proposed deliverables can be vetted too, from teaching modules to even packaged foods. The same is also true for post-event services. A comprehensive debriefing should follow every corporate retreat so that both client and vendor can compare notes on the things that you got right or otherwise. Vendors that are willing to go this route should be strongly considered. Finally, number 6, check for contractual agreement. Peak performing organizations usually put agreements between themselves and third parties into a legal document clearly highlighting the roles and responsibilities of each party. This is done to ensure that both vendor and client have skins in the game and wouldn't want to suffer legal jeopardy because of not fulfilling their obligations or terms of the contract. Any vendor that is willing to put its reputation on the line has skin in the game and is worth being given preference. Human beings generally can be untamed and erratic, but certain mechanisms are designed to remind us that it's in our own enlightened self-interest to ensure that things go according to plan. This consciousness will be reflected in how the vendor has paid attention to details. On the contrary, vendors that shy away from contracts not only suggest that they are not competent or confident enough to handle the job, they are not also ethical enough to commit their skills to the implementation of a leadership retreat that will deliver peak performance.
Becoming the peak performer. Take for the week.
You are listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Abiola Salami's Take for the Week. We are happy to collaborate with your organization to facilitate your corporate retreats, equip your leadership team, and inspire a culture of peak performance in your organization. You can reach us on hello@abiolachamp.com or call us on 090-9123-4567. You can also follow me at Abiola Champ on all social media platforms.
You have been listening to Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami, the world-class performance strategist. Becoming the Peak Performer with Dr. Abiola Salami is a platform for inspiring an inclusive culture of peak performance in the African marketplace. For more resources, visit www.tppafrica.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at TPP Africa and on Twitter at TPP_Africa.
The Kickoff Summit 2025. Start the year strong. Join us at the 2025 New Year Kickoff Summit, where the brightest minds and key market leaders come together to chart a course for success in the upcoming year. This dynamic gathering is designed to set the tone for peak performance across industries. Participants will gain valuable knowledge from experts across multiple sectors, including finance, technology, healthcare, entrepreneurship, and more. Key highlights: expert panels featuring industry leaders and trendsetters, comprehensive 2025 insights across diverse professions and industries. Register now at www.kickoffsummit.com.